WJ Burns, PHX. This is an update video on the 7S529 chassis refurbishment. I've got the components cleared from the top, the tuner, dial, face, dial, tuner drum, the knob, the shaft for the tuner, and we're getting ready to start the recapping of this thing, but I ran across a couple of issues. I don't know how serious they were, seeing as how the radio did work, but it didn't work very good. The thing I found out about the transformer is that it is a dual filament transformer. It has a 6.3 center tap filament and a 5-volt center tap filament, along with the high voltage taps. And apparently I noticed that when I removed the tubes, this socket has been replaced. It says 5Y3 on it, and the schematic shows a 6X5. Now, if I remember correctly, I've seen something on the 6X5s that when the cathode shorts to ground, I think that's the way it goes, or shorts to the plate, the 6X5 fries the transformer. Well, that explains why the transformer is substituted with this one. I'm assuming that they put the 5Y3 in it to alleviate this transformer from getting fried, because the 6X5 has a cathode in it, and the 5Y3 has the direct heaters. It has a heater, not a filament. So that might explain the poor performance that the radio had, because they had to, in order to incorporate the 5Y3, they had to do some changes to some of the components inside, which is probably the reason why they substituted the 6F6, with the 6V6, because I noticed there were some components in here that just didn't show up on the schematic. So I had to take and figure out and deduce that there was a problem with this radio in the past, before this friend of mine got it and sent it to me, which explains the reason why the electrolytic caps were replaced, and all the black beauties are in there, because they're not the original Zenith things. And the wiring, you may remember I mentioned that the wiring is different than the ones that I have used before. They replaced most all, except maybe for a couple of short runs of wire, with this stuff. They replaced all that original rubber wire with this. So that explains that, 'cause this is all solid wire. This is not stranded. It is almost as stiff as a board, but it's better than the others than what was in here. So that explains that. However, I'm going to change this back, and I'm going to negate the 5-volt filament tap and cap it, and utilize the 6.3 volt winding, filament windings, and I've changed this socket out. Well, I haven't changed the socket, but I've changed the wiring on the socket to accommodate the original 6x5 tube. The 5Y3 uses two different pinouts for its high voltage taps, and the 6x6 uses two different ones. So anyway, let me flip this over and I'll show you what I mean underneath. Hang on. Okay, we're back. Let's see if we can get some good light on this thing. So I'll have to use my torch. That there had to be changed. The wiring on it had to be changed out. I changed the power resistor there to a proper 200 ohm. What they had in there was a 2000 ohm resistor, and I think it was just draining a lot of the excess voltage off of the 6F6 power tube, which is one of the items that I had removed off of that socket for the power tube. Those two resistors right there were changed out. They had a different configuration on it there to adapt the 5Y3 tube for it. So I've changed the high voltage taps to the other pinouts for the 6X5. I changed the center tap for that to do the proper orientation on the terminal strip with the two resistors and that C16 cap and the 200 ohm power resistor. The 5 volt taps are coiled up down there and capped off, and the 6 volt filament leads have been wired into the X5 socket. So that there is all upgraded back and changed back to the original design that this radio had. I understand why some repairmen back in the day, I'm not really sure when this thing was recapped and serviced or repaired. Apparently it was a repair, not a restoration. I understand why they would do the quickest thing possible, utilizing whatever you have on the shelf. Back in the day, it wasn't about pretty and aesthetic. It was about getting it on the bench and getting it off, because time is money. I understand all that, and I don't fault them for that. But I'm going to go ahead. Well, it's already changed back, and all the black beauties are going to start coming out now that I've gone through this entire chassis to make sure that everything is as it should be because of the changes that they made to it, which was quite a task. As you can see, I did a wire dress of everything that is in this chassis. Well, practically everything that is in this chassis, as it should be according to the schematic. Now the next thing will be to start doing a search and destroy on all these black beauties, getting rid of them, and getting these other ones back in its place. And then double checking the wiring, and then the chassis and everything is going to go into a cleaning so I can refinish it. So that is pretty much it for now. So stay tuned. There'll be more.